There are many powerful things that you can do under the Filter menu. But sadly, for years and years in Photoshop, running any one of these special effects under Filter permanently changed the image. And if you decided later you went too far, you couldn't go back. Well, a few years ago, Adobe added Filter Convert for Smart Filters. And I rarely run an effect without doing Filter Convert for Smart Filters first. If I look at this shot, I was really compelled by this man on the street and the costume that has feathers from head to toe that he built. I love the composition of this shot where he's buried in this huge costume. But it's not quite vibrant enough. I want to make it a little bit richer, want to add some more contrast. So I could have, again, in the past, done image adjustments and gone through many things to try to get my end image, or the one I have in my head from when I took the shot. But now in Photoshop CC, the powerful Camera Raw can be run as a filter. To make it editable later, before I run any filter, I'm going to choose Convert for Smart Filters. And it says the selected layer is being converted to a smart object. I'll hit OK. And I'm going to name that layer Blue Man. Please be kind and always name your layers. Now I can safely run Filter, Camera Raw Filter. And if I look at this dialog, there are a multitude of things that you could do all in one spot. I almost always start with exposure to lighten or darken the image overall. And when it gets a little bit lighter than I'd like, I darken the blacks to help improve contrast. Now I've only moved 2 dials, but watch this. Before, after. I feel like the color has already gotten more punched and it's more compelling in an instant. I'm going to improve the contrast because there's a lot of detail in this by sliding contrast up a bit. I'm always careful not to go too far in contrast because that can make it look very fake very quickly. But I really love how the skin tones are highlighting better here. I could darken the shadows, which would put less detail or emphasis on his face, and I would lose some of the detail in the darkest areas of the costume. Or I could lighten the shadows, open up the darkest detail. See how it's affecting just most of the darkest spots of the image? I tend to like to open up that shadow detail, but add back a little bit more black contrast. And as I go, I check before and after. So when I first looked at this, it looked a little bit teal and not quite so blue. Monitors vary a lot, but in real life this was a rich, rich blue. I feel like I'm getting more blue here and less teal. Now to finish it off, I can protect some of the highlights, the delicate jewels up here in the costume, or I could blow them out altogether, making them look very shiny and a bit washed out. I tend to like to protect the highlights, and I could take anything that's white and whiten them a little bit more. But be careful about your whites that may also wash out details. Finally, I'm going to zoom back down, and to zoom in or out, you could use this plus or minus. You can also use Command plus on the Mac or Control plus on Windows. Clarity will affect mid-tone contrast, so it's contrast as well, but for everything between light and dark. In fact, I love to move clarity for an angelic glow, an ethereal effect on an image. Just surreal, in my opinion. But I want this to really punch and pop, so I'm going to add a bit more clarity and maybe open my shadows more, and let's check before and after. A huge improvement. It's like it was taken with a different camera. Finally, to boost all the colors, I'll slide vibrance up. But I'm very curious to see what you guys do with your own edits and playing with these dials, not using the exact numbers that I've gotten. You may lean more in one direction or the other than I have. But with just a few minutes of adjustments, I've gone from here, flat, an interesting photo, but not really popping, to detail, color, composition, more what I envisioned when I was taking this photo. I do tend to back down some of my contrast and clarity, trying not to border on the artificial unless I really want to go for a special effect and make every detail a bit too pronounced. So use your own judgment here, but when I click OK, this Camera Raw filter was now editable as an adjustment to the Smart Object or Smart Filter layer. If I decide I've gone a bit too far, I can double-click on the Camera Raw filter and pull down some of this clarity, or some of the contrast, or maybe I went too far with the whites. And when I click OK, I can hit Command-Z and Command-Z again, or Control-Z and Control-Z again to see before and after. I really liked it before. Smart filters can be used for all sorts of things. So whenever you go to run something under the filter menu, remember to first choose Convert for Smart Filters so that when you save the file and close it, it is editable again.